So today we're talking about an Tuiseal Ginideach Uatha, which is the single genitive case. If you don't know Inchkinach, if you don't know the difference between Fair Inchkinach and Bon Inchkinach, I would highly recommend that you go back and learn that before you move on to an Tuiseal Ginideach. So na termí atá tasalú ná Fair Inchkinach, which means masculine, Bon Inchkinach, which means feminine, Ginideach, which is the genitive, and Uatha, which is singular. And just for yourself, the word for plural is Ulra, just so you know that one. Okay, so bug madrag. So Kahana Uatha and Tuiseal Ginideach. So when do you use the Tuiseal Ginideach? So the first one is when you have two nouns together, go animacal lacala. So for example, your school bag, it's a bag of school. So Mala and skull becomes Mala scolia. So it's only the second word that we're putting into the Tuiseal Ginideach. So the second place we use the Tuiseal Ginideach is on Tanam Briherha, and that's when we're thinking about ing in English. So if I'm reading a book, I'm ag leav lower, and lower gets put into the Tuiseal Ginideach. And we'll talk about how to know what changes to make in a second, but for the moment I'm just showing you some examples. For Cónaíocht, the third one, that means quantity. So if you're saying like a lot of time, that would be alon. And then aum changes to ama. Or the word ober changes to ibra, O-I-B-R-E. Mochwid is like my bit. So in Irish we have this thing like mochwid arrogid, where arrogid, spelled A-I-R-G-E-A-D, changes to A-I-R-G-I-D. Come, let's get for the handwriting there. The next one is after the réabhachal chomhitse, and réabhachal chomhitse is a compound preposition. So all of these words are compound. There's two words, igesh. So tareish meaning after, and iníag meaning after. Lalin and ire both mean during. Tav here, behind, inaka, beside. So, for example, we know that scolia is the Tuiseal Ginideach of skull. So after school becomes not tareish skull, but tareish scolia. And the last instance where we use the Tuiseal Ginideach is just with certain words like dola, kun, timple, and trasna. So if you get asked in the oral, do you do much work around the house? It's not timple on chalk, it's timple on tea. Timple on tea. Okay, on well. So bogam with so if we don't have on in the word, then we can just put the words into Tuiseal Ginideach. So what changes do we make in the Tuiseal Ginideach? Well, if it's Fair Inchkinach, it's normally ending with a broad consonant. That is, the last letter is consonant and the last vowel is broad. So boher, duris and far are all examples of this. So what do we do with words like this? Well, we normally just slenderize them. So at the side of a road is our have boher with an I. And then door paint is paint durish. So I just put in my I, D-O-R-A-I-S. Lovely. For hata far, right, F-E-A-I-R would be a little bit weird, so it becomes hata fair, and that means a man's hat. We're not talking about ons at all yet. We're not talking about the at all yet. Now, for the urs and the ors, there's a little bit of a system here. So ur becomes ura, or becomes ora. The eens just stay the same. So mála colleen is just mála colleen. And then a lón gra, a lot of love. So we know that if a word ends with a vowel, we just have to know that it's masculine. And we know that gra is masculine. It's just a lón gra. On the feminine side, there are normally words. So kishtin, skull and pel are all examples of words that end with a consonant quail. And generally, we are just adding in an E. So duris kishtin, the kitchen door, or a kitchen door, becomes duris kishtina with an E. Hala skull becomes hala scolia with an E. A gimmert pel becomes a gimmert pelia with an E. On what? Now, for opening a window, I can't just throw an E on the end here, right? So, because it's an OG, the last vowel is broad. So if I'm opening a window, I make oscult fuinoiga. So I've got to change it to E-O-I-G-E. Now, if we hear it, it sounds right. So kishtin, kishtina, scolia, pel, pelia, fuinog, fuinoga. Our instinct with fuinog would be to just stick an A at the end. But if you think about that, what are fuinoga with EOGA at the end? That's the plural. that's windows. So it has to look a little bit different. So the Tuiseal Genideach, if it's of a window, it's IGE. And it's similar with pictuirlan. If I just added an A at the end there, that would be the plural, cinemas. So I need to change it. I need to sound like the Tuiseal Genideach. So it's Duras pictuirlinne. So TIU for the or, LA, and I'm adding in an I in order to be able to add in the E at the end. Now, drámaíocht is just drámaíochta. There's no way to make it slender, so I just add an A at the end, doing drama. A spós parcola, again, see how it sounds, spós parcola. It's not going to sound like spós parcola, so anything that ends with A for the IL, we just take out the I, and we add in an A at the end, so spós parcola. And just like gra, if a word ends with a vowel, you don't make any changes at all. So the start of an essay is just tus ashta. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. It's about to get a little bit more complicated. So this is why we need to know our gender. The first thing I'm going to have you look at up here is if a word is for Inchganach, the general rule is that we add on, we add a H, and we add a chwelu. So we make the word slender. So if you remember, a lot of our masculine words end with a broad consonant. So we need to make it slender in order to make it different. With feminine nouns, they're already slender, so we add an E at the end, which we already talked about. But weirdly enough, on changes to na, so before muchleshin. And we're still talking about an Tuiseal Genideach Uatha, so this is still singular. So just before muchleshin. So on close is the courtyard, but if I want to say the top of the courtyard, I would say bor on. So remember, we need on, H, quelu. So we have our on, we can add in our H, and quelu, make it slender, we add O for the I-S. Okay, so that is our Tuiseal Genideach. Meanwhile, for the top of the kitchen, it would be bor. It's not going to be on because let's look at the rule up here for the feminine endings. On changes to na. And we take out our H when we're putting it into the Tuiseal Genideach, so Cistin, and we add on our E at the end, so it's bor nachistana. For on hospital, so let's just say the top of the hospital, right? Bor on. And now, I'm not putting in a H, but so if I'm not putting in a H, I'd take out that T. So I'm left with OSPID. And in order to make it quail, I'm not going to say E for the AIL. I'm just going to change it to E for the IL. And for on Irish, then the top of the magazine, I would say bor, and then on changes to na. Now, with na, it ends with a vowel. Irish starts with a vowel, so I think we know what's going to happen here. We're going to add in a little H. Bor na hirisha. For on sogert, it's a word beginning with S, which is Ferinchganach. And it didn't take anything in the regular. So if I want to say this, the priest's house, it's chalk on sogert. Can I put in a H? Right. We don't. It's a different, there's a reason why this is a separate category to the Cunson. So we actually put in our T in here. And then can I make it slender? Yes, I can. So I just put in I or T. Hopefully that's okay. And then for on chalk, then if it's the start of the week, it's tooth. And then on changes to na. And then I can put my E at the end. But I do take out that T when I'm changing it into the Tuiseal Genideach. So it's tooth na seachtana. So if we have a look at the left-hand side the whole way through, it's a Ferinchganach. So we have ons the whole way down. And then we put in our H's if we can. So 90% of the time, you are going to be dealing with this. You're going to be dealing with words that begin with a consonant. So those are the most important ones. So I'm going to ask you to please take that down into your copies. Highlight everything that I have in red and just follow those rules when you're going through the examples. Now, if you're totally confused and you're using Terma, right, go into terma.ie. If you put in skull, you will see GU, Ginideach Uatha. So then you know that if I want to say a school hall, it's Holla Scolia. But if I want to say the school hall, we know that if we're saying the, Bon Inchganach, we use na. So it becomes Holla na Scolia. Lovely. For feminine or for masculine words like board, the Genideach Uatha here is board. So if I wanted to say the top of a table, it's just bor words. But if I want to say the top of the table, remember it's, it's bor. And for masculine words, we do on, H, quelu. So let's do our on. We have our H, and the quelu is already in there with the I. Bor on word. So if you're stuck, have a look at terma.ie and it'll help you do it. Let's do some clock the. So to rate on or test, rate on Saura, and so forth. So the first thing I want to ask you to do is go through and look at the second half, like on or test or on Saura, and put in whether those words are Firinchganach or Boninchganach. Pause the video and I'll show you the answer in a 3, a do, a hain. Now I'm going to ask you to do these as practice. We're going to do the first one together and then I'm going to pause it and you can do the rest of them on your own and check them out. So on or test, okay, we know it's Boninchganach. So the rules for Boninchganach is na plus e. So on or test becomes Teresh na. And even if I just do na plus e first, Teresh na or test da. But if you remember, or test is a vowel, so if I go back up to my table, it's like bor na hirisha, so it becomes tereshna hor testa with a H. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and just show you the answers in a 3, a do, a hain. So shot eat na fragri, so let's run through them. So on Sarah was Firinchganach, so with S's it's like Sogert, you get your on, your T and your Chwelu, ere on Taurig. Christiacht is feminine, so on changes to na, so the theme of Christianity is Tema na Christiachta. And don't forget to take out your H there. Lalin on ashta during the essay becomes lalin na hashta. Words that end with a vowel, there's no changes to the actual like end of the word. For the problem of poverty, so 5 on buktanis becomes 5 on vuktanish because it's masculine, so you get your on, your H and your quelu. Now the last two were different, so I hope that you figured out what was going on here. There's no the here, so it was like during the leaving cert or after leaving cert, during the summer. These last two, it's just for a fortnight. It's not for the fortnight, it's for a fortnight, and for a year. And blian in particular is irregular. It's feminine, but you don't add an E at the end. You actually change it to bliana, B-L-I-A-N-A. So does it look on Brev Shin Kerk Galore, so I'm going to couple clock to Ella yen of anish. So chunker on Ferragan, the impact of violence. Let's do that one together. So it is a little bit more complicated. So chunk on Ferragan is Firinchganach. So we know it's on, H and quelu. So the impact of violence is chunker. And I could put in the on, I can put in my H. Now how do I make it slender? E-A-N. So some people would put in E-A-I-N, but it's actually a little bit simpler than that. It just becomes I-N, chunker on Aragan. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is go through and look at the gender of the second words. So let's do that now. And I'll show you the answer in a 3, a do, a hain. 5 I put in on far, so which is Firinchganach, so just do those and pause the video and Tori main a fragri the of or 3, a do, a hain. Shot in the fragri, so on Charulacht changed to chunker na Charulachta. I took out the H and I added an A at the end. On Ibe is an unusual one because it's feminine, but it looks masculine. So in order to put that E at the end, I had to put in an I as well. So we cormac leshin on Chwailka with a H there. You get rid of the H in the Tuiseal Ginideach and on changes to na. There's no change to the end of the word because it ends with a vowel. Shomra on far was the one that was masculine, Firinchganach. So I left on as on, I added my H and my quelu, so far became fair, which looks like the plural word for man or men. So be cormac leshin. Me and on van, I had a little realty in there for a reason because it's very irregular. So the woman is on van, but the desires of the woman is mienta na mna. So just be cormac, be sure that you know that, especially for Colskara. And names as well. Didn't expect you to know this off the top of your head, but for names we add in a H. Because Mora ends with a vowel, there's no slenderization there. But if it was Sean's love, it would be Gra Hyon with an I. So Gra Hyon with a H, but also with an I. So be cormac leshin. Tásúlagam gur ceirg sé seo live a déanagí cloch that agus beag sib go bra.